Hello, welcome back to my garden. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update as to some of the things that are happening here in the garden today. There is no big project today. There's nothing I'm doing so far as projects that you guys really want to see. So for instance, this morning I came out and I started covering up the back of the rose garden here. Now, some of you have been watching for a while may have remembered that I've basically been using the back of the rose garden here as a giant compost pile. I've been putting grass clippings, plants, logs, there's all sorts of stuff back in here. And the whole idea, the whole goal was, instead of going out and buying a couple of tons of compost to put back here, to plant back here, I decided just to put a lot of garden waste back here, let it compost in place. Now I'm covering it up with this black weed fabric, and then in 2 to 3 years, I'm gonna uncover this and I'm gonna start planting into this. That's the plan, that's the theory. And I'm gonna show you how I've been already utilizing this technique in the front of the rose garden in a second. But first, it's the annual Epic Gardening Labor Day sale. Many of you don't know or don't remember, I'm an affiliate of Epic Gardening. So if you go over to Epic Gardening and use my link, then you can save yourself an extra 5% off on your purchase. Right now, they've got their Labor Day sale going on. I actually had to print off a little cheat sheet here. They got some good stuff happening. So many of you have already seen my Birdie's raised beds that I have in my vegetable garden. Absolutely love them. Probably the best quality raised beds out there, made in Australia, good quality. And right now, if you go over to Epic Gardening, well, from now until September 8th. So the sale is going on between now and September 8th. So if you go over to Epic Gardening right now, buy 2, get 1. And if you use my link, then you can save yourself an extra 5% off on that deal. If you just want a singular raised bed, then it's up to 35% off. Use my link, get yourself an extra 5% off that deal. So that's 40% right there. That's huge. That's actually a really, really good deal. There's also other deals, such as you could save yourself something like 30% off seed starting and grow bags. I don't know about you guys, but I like sales. Saved myself a ton of money over the years. If you spend $300 or more, you get yourself a free seed collection valued at $75. So that's pretty nice as well. And I believe that is a while supplies last deal. Don't drag your feet and wait till the last day of the sale, because then if you go to spend your $300 maybe buying a birdie bed, and you want those free seeds, probably won't be around. So, because this stuff goes fast. If you're thinking about next year's garden already, or if you're wanting a raised bed for next year's garden, now's the time to get it. Huge sale, save yourself a bunch of money. Use my link, save yourself an extra 5% off. And as legal disclosure, I have to tell you, if you use my link below, I do make a small commission, but it's at zero cost to you guys. Big sale. Don't miss it. Now's the great time to get yourself some Birdie's beds, seeds, grow bags, anything else that they have on the site. Again, use my link below. With all that being said, let me show you how this is going to turn into something else up front. Longtime viewers, you probably remember me creating this space, and recently I started to open it up. And that's what this is right here. I pulled back the black weed fabric, as I said I was going to. What was left underneath is a lot of dead grass, a lot of dead weeds. What I did temporarily as I was mowing the lawn was I took some grass clippings and I just laid it on top to sort of act as a mulch. These grass clippings, along with everything else that's under there, is going to continue to rot away. My plan is, right now, I have a bit of metal edging that I'm going to put at the end. Then I'm going to cover the space right here with cardboard. And then I'm going to put some mulch on top of that. And it's really just to hold the cardboard down and to make it look a little nicer than this. This is an utter disaster. I hate looking at this, but what this weed fabric is doing is keeping the weeds at bay and helping to cook whatever is underneath. Maybe next spring, if there's time, I will pull this section up to then finish off this leg, as it were, of the front of the flower garden beds. But what I'm really hoping to do next spring, in this open section right here next year, is start planting up some golden ticket privet to create my hedge at the front of the garden. That will also help hide this disaster from the neighbor's eyes, because nobody wants to look at this disaster. And it'll start creating a sense of a room, more of a sense of a room, and it'll just be nice to have those hedges, to have those plants in the ground and then start growing on from there. And honestly, the way everything is now, I really shouldn't have to add much compost to this, again, because of all the rotted material here. Hopefully it's improved the ground soil quite a bit. Just got to put down the cardboard and the mulch over that, which I'll be doing probably in the next month or so. I have to order some mulch, and we'll talk more about what I'm going to be planting into this space and how I'm going to be utilizing it in the upcoming future, in a future video. Let's go look at something else I did recently. This right here is going to be the entrance off the grand walkway of what will probably in the next 5 years or so, the fern garden or the natural garden or the natural fern garden. I haven't actually nailed down a name because I know I want a lot of ferns in this space, but to get the ferns in this space, I need a lot of shade. So there's problem number one. Problem number two is the ground here is just as bad, if not worse, than many of the other places here in my garden. So much like the rose garden, I'm starting to compost in this area as well to improve that ground soil, so that when I do go to plant in here, ferns, heucheras, anything that's deer resistant, honestly, that will grow in shade, will get planted into this space. What I've started doing is defining these the bed spaces, as it were, and this is subject to change. So this is going to be a long-term project. As I said, probably another 5 years, maybe a little longer. But recently, the power company came by, or a subcontractor working for the power company came by and butchered up a bunch of pine trees at the edge of the property. They left behind a ton of waste. Now, they'd been doing this in my neighborhood for a few weeks, so I thought, oh, they're just going to cut the branches and then not come back and pick them up. So I went out and I spent 2 days this week in the broiling heat and humidity, and I just cleaned all the branches up, but I needed some place to put the branches, so they started getting dumped in here. All this is going to break down over time. It's going to take a few years, but that's fine. I'm in no rush to complete the space because I haven't even completed the rose garden yet. This pine will break down fairly quickly, 2 to 3 years. The pine needles will be falling off very soon as the wood itself dries out. I have grass clippings under here. I'll be putting cardboard down in this space, more grass clippings, more logs, and it's all just to create giant compost area and let Mother Nature do its thing. So let it all rot down. As you can see here, I have a crepe myrtle that's flowering pink. I believe you guys can see that. That I'm going to be talking more about this winter. And back here, I have a couple of pine trees that just grew from seeds that are everywhere. Just landed here, started growing, and I decided to let them grow because, again, I need this space to be in shade. So as they get taller, and this is 2, maybe 3 years worth of growth. That's huge. I mean, you can see how tall that is. So hopefully another 3 to 5 years, it'll be much, much, much higher. Pine trees grow very fast, and it'll start casting a lot more shade in this space, which will then start changing this space the way I want it to be changed. So it'll create the shade. This stuff is going to rot down. I have other stuff on the other side that I'm working on, other compost piles. But my goal with this space is hopefully in the long term to create this into a shady garden that I can grow a lot of ferns and other things that I want to grow in this space. Let's go look at my zinnias. They've been a big part of my life recently. Here we are in the middle of my no-cut flower garden. If you're new to the channel, these are a lot of flowers that I cannot grow out in the rose garden yet, or the flower garden due to the deer pressure that I have around here. I think it was about a week and a half ago, we got a tremendous thunderstorm that rolled through, high winds, heavy rain, and it knocked a lot of these zinnias down. So what I had to do was come back through, restake, and then tie up a lot of these plants. And unfortunately, I had to decimate quite a few of the zinnias. They were very thick, they were very lush, they had lots of branches on them. But if I wanted to save them, because many of them were laying flat and then they started growing upwards and they were blocking paths, and it was a whole thing. And if I needed to get in and deadhead some of these flowers, I couldn't do it. So I had to prop them back up, but in propping them back up, some of the branches broke. I cut many of the branches off to try to save what I could of the plants. They're thinner than they were, but I still have a lot of flowers here, which is pretty awesome. And I think the zinnias now that they're thinned out, which was never really an intention, it just sort of happened as I was trying to save them, but I think that it'll allow a little bit more airflow around the plants, which will hopefully help keep down the powdery mildew and other fungal diseases that usually hit zinnias, especially towards the end of the season. Some of you have been watching for a while may have remembered that, I forget when it was, July maybe? I took a bunch of seeds, had a little bit of sunflower left, and I had a little bit of zinnias and some marigolds, and it wasn't enough to necessarily do an entire row. And I had some dead space down here at this end of the beds. So I just took them, stuck them in the ground, and I said, whatever happens, happens. I didn't do proper spacing. I just shoved seeds in the ground and, well, here you go. I have sunflowers of all different varieties popping up. Some in the back are currently flowering and they look spectacular. The bees are absolutely loving them. I'm pretty happy that I'm seeing these now at the end of August, and I'll probably continue to see sunflowers throughout September, which was one of my goals this year, was to try to extend my if you've grown sunflowers before, you know that they come up, they look wonderful for a few weeks, and then they go away. So these are doing quite well. And back in here, I do have some zinnias flowering, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm gonna let them continue to do their things. I also have some marigolds down around the base of many of these plants, which are coming up, and hopefully they'll start flowering and do continue to flower right out until the first frost. Off to the side over here, I have echinacea, and I haven't had echinacea grow successfully in large quantity in this garden since I started gardening, because echinacea is not deer resistant. Despite the flower heads being prickly, the deer just devour them. They just eat them, and it's been a frustration of mine because I really do enjoy echinacea. So this year, I planted them in here along with the Black-Eyed Susans, which is another not deer-resistant plant for me, and they're doing well. They're doing wonderful. I'm really happy about it. So as I said in the beginning of this video, no big projects today. To be honest with you, I'm pretty tired. I've been going at it all week, working on the zinnias and getting those pine trees. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but those pine tree branches that I hauled over into the fern garden, yeah, a day after I completed that project, the power company sent a team around to go collect all the branches, you know, the ones that have been sitting in the neighborhood for 2 weeks. They finally sent somebody around the day after I finished cleaning them up, nearly having a heart attack and heat stroke. On the upside, I have new material for compost piles. So what are you gonna Oh, and I was also mowing the lawn. There was, like I've mentioned before, there's a lot of lawn to mow, and there's a lot of edging to do here in this garden. Now, even looking here in the veg garden, I should probably give this a mow this weekend before we get more rain early next week. So don't forget to use my link for your Epic Gardening discount. You can save yourself, again, 5% off on top of whatever it is you're getting over at Epic Gardening. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video, because hopefully next time I will be doing some sort of project or something a bit more interesting. With all that being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.